Well, I never thought we'd see it, at least not anytime soon. But Trump and Hegseth are squirming. They know they're in hot water. And the amazing thing is, we're going to watch this video in a minute from yesterday. The amazing thing is, they don't deny it. They don't claim it's fake news. They don't claim it's lies. They don't even claim what they did was legal. They are just saying, distancing themselves from it, saying, we didn't have anything to do with it. We don't know about it. I know nothing. I know nothing. So let's watch this from the cabinet meeting yesterday, where Trump and Hegseth get into the what looks like a war crime happening down near Venezuela with these little boats that are getting shot, people being murdered on these boats. Listen to what they say about it, and then I want to go through it and talk about it for a couple of
I didn't know
minutes.
about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat.
Now, the
I wasn't involved in it. I wasn't involved in it. Key. Okay, here's
first couple of
Hegseth.
strikes, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that, a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back. And the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike? You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war.
Yeah, some fog of war, right? Oh man, the fog of war. That's how they're going to distance themselves from it. We didn't know anything. We didn't know anything. Anyway, I wanted to play it one time all the way through to let you hear it in context. But let's go back through it real quick. Yeah, I'm not going to take too long on this. And then I have a few observations I'd like to make afterwards.
I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took it.
That's typical. I don't know anything about it. I wasn't involved in it. This is when you know that he knows something bad happened, something went wrong. He always does this when he's guilty, and when something went wrong, he says, I didn't know anything about it.
Out a boat.
Now, the first couple of strikes, as you would, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So
I'm a man. I'm owning the responsibility. Honestly, these two are like two high school boys who just got caught red-handed with their hands in the cookie jar, or maybe something more serious than that, the drug jar or something, right? And they just got caught. And they're like, look, I take responsibility, but I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I don't know what happened.
So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd.
Okay, right there, it sounds like he's making the call, and that he's accepting responsibility for the call that was made to shoot these boats. But that's not what he's saying. He's saying something a little subtle, subtly different than that. And I'll explain that in a minute.
There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that, a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour.
I was so busy. I had tweets to get out. I was like 30 tweets behind because I'd been gone for 30 minutes. I had to get out of there and start tweeting again. So busy, so busy. You can imagine what it's like at the Department of War. I had to get out of there. I can't sit in there for 2 hours watching a strike. That's the Admiral's job.
In 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do.
This is the key part. I learned that commander made the decision. Now, to say he had the authority to do it, that again is shifting blame from himself and responsibility onto the Admiral.
And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Now, he says he made the correct decision to sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He doesn't say anything about killing people, okay? So he will later claim, well, I didn't know he was going back, circling around, doubling back to kill people. I didn't know anything about that. Yeah, I knew people might be killed when the boat was sunk, but it was a matter of national security, and we had to sink the boat, or these narco-terrorists would invade our land and destroy our civilization as we know it.
He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back, and the American people are.
Boy, talk about backstabbing and saying you have his back, at the same time, it puts a kind of a new meaning on having someone's back, right?
Safer, because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
Now, keep in mind, there's no evidence that there's any threat here. There's certainly no evidence that these people are terrorists. None at all. They are shooting boats, and they don't even know who's on them. They have found out that they made mistakes, that some people weren't drug dealers at all. There's not a bit of evidence that they're terrorists at all. They're not terrorists. They claim that they're bringing all these drugs into the United States, and they're on boats that don't have fuel tanks large enough to hold enough fuel to get to the United States from Venezuela. Venezuela is a long, long, long ways away from the United States by water. And you can't get there in these little boats. So this whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, is immoral, hugely immoral. It's murder. It's literally, these people are ordering murders. And that's why this is so serious. And that's why you see them squirming, and they're trying to get out of it. What amazes me is, listen to what they say. At no time do they claim that what they did was legal. Of course, they don't address the situation that specifically. Pete Hegseth kind of glosses over it. He says, we gave the order to eliminate the threat, but he doesn't go into any detail, like to eliminate the threat by killing all the people on board, which was the order that the New York Times and the Washington Post reported went from Hegseth to Admiral Bradley. Kill everybody. Kill them all. 2 people weren't killed. They jumped into the water, and they came back around and killed them. Non-combatants. This is illegal. It goes against all the rules and laws of war, and it's really bad stuff. And these guys, I'm telling you, if things go as they should in this country, when this administration is over, these guys are in big, 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 serious trouble. This is like a lifelong prison sentence we're looking at here.
You didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike.
Okay, the question he's asking, did you see any survivors? And he's going to say, no, I didn't see, I don't know anything about it. So the survivors of the 2 people I'm talking about that survived and jumped into the water, that they circled back and killed. Sorry, murdered.
I did not personally see survivors.
Yeah, okay, this is interesting to me. If somebody asked me if I saw something, I would say, no, I didn't see it. Why would I add the word personally? I did not personally see it. It's to emphasize that I, myself, my person, didn't see it. It's a legal matter. It's a legal matter. When you go to court, the court can say, well, you ordered this. Well, I didn't know it happened. I didn't order that specific thing to happen, and I didn't personally see it. To emphasize the fact that you and your person didn't see it. That's what, to me, honestly, that's a sign of guilt. That's a sign he knows. He knows there's some guilt there.
But I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war.
The fog of war. Get out of here. Honestly, I can't take these people seriously. It's too much. Anyway, so who is Admiral Bradley? And does he have the kind of background that would give him the competence and the experience and the expertise to form a correct opinion and a legal opinion on an action like this? Would Admiral Bradley know you're not supposed to kill non-combatants? Yes, of course he would know that. And I mean, he's an admiral. He didn't get to an admiral without knowing that. People in the first year in the military learn some of these things. So My question is, why did he order it? Why did he involve himself in this? Why did he obey these orders from the president and from Hegseth? That's what I want to know. Why did he do it? Now, I looked it up. I was curious, is he a MAGA man? Is he a big Trump man? There's no evidence at all that he has anything to do with Trump or MAGA. Now, there could be no public evidence, and he could be a big MAGA person secretly behind the scenes, and he could have let, people in the administration know, I love you guys. I'll do whatever you want. Because that is kind of what he's doing, right? But a look at his background makes it very surprising that he would do that. He graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1991, and he had a graduate degree in physics from the Naval Postgraduate School. He became a Navy SEAL in 1992. He was part of SEAL Team 4, and then he joined what they call Special Warfare Development Group, otherwise known as SEAL Team 6. He's held commands at virtually every level of U.S. Special Operations, from tactical units up to Joint Task Force and theater commands. I mean, this is a guy who has every bit of experience that you could expect out of somebody at his level. So, yeah, I would say he's very well qualified and certainly has the experience and the knowledge to know whether or not this type of order is legal. Now, he was a senior military officer in charge of the operation, and he ordered the second strike to comply with Hegseth's directive to kill everyone on the boat. And the fact that the administration is now pinning the blame on him could seriously affect his career and reputation, and as would be well deserved, in my opinion. But it'll do it as the administration attempts to insulate itself from any legal recourse by blaming him. And one quick thought about that, actually. Think about this. Don't think other militaries aren't watching this and paying close attention, other admirals and generals, and seeing how this administration turns on someone who followed their orders when those orders turn out to be illegal, or gets them into some kind of hot water. Honestly, I think this is going to make it far less likely that top military officers will follow these types of orders in the future. I hope so. We can only hope, right? Anyway, now you heard them say that they had that the admiral had their full backing, okay? But don't think that's going to protect him, the admiral, and don't think it's going to implicate them. Trump and Hegseth won't be implicated by saying we backed the general, because the technicality here is they gave the admiral. They gave the admiral the responsibility to make the final decision. So by saying he had their full backing, they could claim in court, if it should ever come to court, which hopefully it will someday in the next 3 years, hopefully. Anyway, they can say, yeah, he had our full backing in that we trusted him to make the right decision, to carry out our orders to accomplish this particular goal. Okay, so they'll say they gave him the broad directive to stop these people from terrorizing the United States, and left it up to him and his military expertise to figure out the best way to do it. So, in other words, they'll say, we didn't tell him to actually go kill anybody, right? Well, that's what the investigation is going to have to find out. And I'm sure they're shredding records as we speak. But, it came out in the news a few days ago that Hegseth definitely gave an order, a specific order, kill everybody on board. Now, if that's, held in some form of evidence that we can get our hands on, if it ever comes to court or court-martial, can the defense secretary be court-martialed? Probably not. Anyway, but now that they find out the admiral made what they're going to now call a bad decision, even though they're still saying he did the right thing, they're saying he did the right thing, but they'll say, yeah, but we didn't know that detail when we said it was the right thing. We meant he did the right thing because he protected America from narco-terrorists, but nothing about the details about it. They'll say they know nothing, like you saw them say. Hegseth said, I don't know, I'm very busy. I had to get up and go. I can't watch that video for 2 hours. Oh, man, seriously. Anyway, so he was the man, the admiral was the man with the final responsibility, though, not them. I think, okay, I'm not an expert, so maybe I shouldn't speak so confidently, but I think that Hegseth and Trump could be held liable for ordering. Well, if Hegseth said, kill everybody on board, I think he could be liable for that order and be in very serious criminal trouble. But the admiral is surely liable because he did make the order to the troops who did the deed. And he was the one who decided, yeah, okay, that's legal. Because, an admiral and a general, generals and admirals, they make these decisions all the time when they get orders from the president. They know all the details of the operation and they can tell, they know whether it's legal or not. They don't even have to ask a lawyer about these kinds of things, not this type of thing. It's so clear and so blatantly wrong, you know? Anyway, so the general should in no way feel that he's off the hook because he's not. He's in trouble. And the other high level military officers know that and they see this. And I think it's going to backfire big time on Trump. I hope so. Next time he fires off legal orders, they're going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. We got to be careful here because he will stab us in the back if it comes out that we followed that order because that order is blatantly illegal. Right? Anyway, in the military, if an officer gives a bad command to someone under them, and that person follows the command and then later gets in trouble for it, the officer will, in theory, the officer, and this is the way it's supposed to work, the officer will take responsibility for it and never blame a subordinate, right? I mean, that's the way it's supposed to work. So officers own the consequences. It's just part of the military culture. They own the consequences of their orders and they protect subordinates who carry them out in good faith. But that's not what the military is seeing right now from the president, this so-called commander in chief, and it's not what they're seeing from the so-called secretary of war. And I hope because of that, I hope it'll be harder for the administration to find people to do their dirty work in the future. I hope this will make it a lot harder. Anyway, we can all hope, right? Well, you know what? The best thing is you can do, I'll tell you, the best thing we can do, and I'm becoming more convinced of this because every time I talk to a supporter of this administration, they're like them. They're like, well, I don't know anything about it, never heard about it, right? The very best thing we can all do is find a MAGA person. You find a MAGA person you know, a friend, a family, colleague at work, whatever, and tell them the clear story of what's going on here. Just tell them personal. Say, hey, did you know that they did this? And they won't believe you. They'll say, oh, you're lying. You hate Trump. But just tell them, lay out the facts. Show them, go, bring the article to them. Let them read it. Because they're not going to get that in their own media. You can bet, that's the one thing we know for sure. They're not going to hear any of this in their own media, So let's tell them. I am convinced that if more people who support them hear these things from us, if we can get the word out to them that they're not hearing in their own media, that could peel a lot of people away, enough to make a difference in the next election. All right? All right. Well, that's it for now. I'm Jonathan Burton. Thanks for watching. And if you agree, click subscribe. I'd love to have you on board.